Hello and welcome back to Monster Hunter Generations, where today we are going to continue hunting our deviant monsters. I've already got a quest picked out, and I figure, we already started with the last deviant, so I'm going to do the rest just in order. And we're going to be doing them all at level 6 for now. We might also do the higher levels later on, and as you can see, I got Unlucky Cat, so there we go. That's right. Argyros' roar comes out late. It's Lagombi's that comes out early. It's kind of interesting how they added roars to those two monsters, despite them not having roars before. And yet they added them with different timings, which really messes me up sometimes. And that butt slam right there is a guaranteed KO if it hits you. So don't let him jump on you. It is bad for your health and well-being. Yeah, go ahead and slap me. Just don't break the stump, okay? I kind of want to use it. Yeah, unfortunately, since this is level 6, that means we're actually going to be fighting 2 of them, even though this is the first time they require, I think, HR 6 for this. So they've just been upgraded in terms of their damage output and possibly their movesets. And they have you fight 2 of them right away, which is interesting. Yeah, that's kind of how deviants go. Like, you level them up and eventually they'll hit certain breakpoints where the HR requirement gets updated, and thus that's where you get the biggest changes in their behavior and stats. Ah, yes, that wind. In fact, I believe it's the wind that I just dodged there. Ooh, just barely managed to get our gauge up. And now that we've actually got a Sakura Slash ready, we are much more able to handle what's going on. Oh. Unfortunately, we are going to be hearing this music a lot because it's the deviant theme. Every deviant uses it. Every quest with every deviant uses it. And Sarah, did you just not even try to bring that to him? There we go. Yeah, let's... Yep, this is a Huntathon, and it required HR 6. Yeah, so I was right. Where are you going, bear? Yeah, this is, at the moment, one of the easier deviants, because of course it is. It's an Argyros. I'm pretty sure this deviant was mainly created because since they wanted the deviants to unlock over the course of the game, they actually needed some low-tier monsters to get them so that they'd have, something easy to start people off with in low rank. But then when you get to the really high levels of this guy, he actually becomes one of the more difficult ones, in my opinion. Mainly because they just really pump up his damage, especially on that really heavy wind-up claw attack, which, as adept, I always want to dodge it. And yet, since I don't fight this guy too often, I don't have the timing down as well as I should. So usually just misdodging that leads to me drinking lots of potions. But yeah, the level 9 quest for this guy... Oh, dang it. The level 9 quest features a Savage Deviljho in addition to the bear. And I honestly think the bear is the harder part of the quest. And thanks for just standing there for that. That was real kind of you. Okay, he clearly doesn't want me hitting with my spirit combos. Better to dodge that early than late. It does a lot of damage and it stuns, so... Ow. Yeah, we actually, a friend and I learned about that being an auto stun pretty recently. We did some testing after they observed that, hey, every time they got hit by that, they got stunned by it. So usually what that means for us is we'll basically fight the monster, and basically we'll either go in and try and have that be the very first attack that hits us, like out of everything, including minion monsters, or we'll try and have it be the very first attack that hits us after we've just been stunned. Because that way we're sure that we've got a fresh stun counter, basically. And we can be sure that if we do get stunned, it's because that attack is an auto stun, and not just because, oh, we were going to get stunned anyway. Ow. Yeah, I dodged that wrong. I'm also really curious what, if anything, happens if during that big claw sweep you get hit by the fish that he scoops out if he does it when he's standing in water. Because I personally think it would be pretty hilarious if you, like, got water blight or something. But yeah, we learned that auto stun thing about this guy recently enough that I haven't yet added it to my monster info chart. That will be in the next revision. We've got another thing that we need to test for auto stunning, but it's a bit of a tricky one because it involves Rajang. Basically, either when he does his attack where he grabs a rock to throw at you, and, you know, during the punching of a fist into the... I want to get hit by that fish so badly. But when he does that attack and punches his fist into the ground, if you get hit by the fist as it goes into the ground, it's either got a very, very high chance to stun or it's an auto stun. So we need to figure out whether or not it is an auto stun, because if it is, then that needs to be added to the chart. Stun, when I list it on the chart, like, any monster can cause stun technically, but some monsters can do it with a single hit. And those are the ones that I actually label it on the chart for. Because, I mean, no, if I just listed, hey, this monster is capable of causing stun, well, that would be useless information. Because there are some monsters, like Gypsaros, that can stun with a single thing. I almost got hit by that butt stomp, but thankfully I did not. Good job, bear. So we're just going to go to town here. I would like to break his hands, though doing so loses me a lot of damage. They are quite durable. That said, this is still just Argyros, so it shouldn't be too long of a quest anyway, which is why I don't really mind going for it. There we go. Or maybe it's Argyros that's early and I was just going way too early, because that does seem to be pretty early, whereas one of them, the roar starts before they actually have their face move forward for it. And the other one, the roar starts after their face is already in position. It's kind of interesting when you're trying to dodge monster roars, because some of them, despite having the same roar animation, will have slightly different timings for the dodge. Especially the ones that haven't always had roars. Like this guy. Nope, you are not going to just scoot your butt back into me. Not buck. Words are hard. Where are you going? Get back here, bear. I did not give you permission to leave. But yeah, I was talking about it a bit in the last episode, but, like, this guy does not deserve this music. It just seems a bit too imposing for him. Because he's just a bear. And hey, we got those arms broken. And now he's tired, and thankfully I was on this side of the bear when that bomb went off. Oh no, I've been grabbed. Here, have some poop, please. There you go. This is one of the only monsters where you can't actually throw the poop until it's fully picked you up. Most monsters you can start throwing it as soon as the meter shows up, but this guy, he actually has to have you in his hands before. Oh. Well, that's fine. We wanted him dead anyway. Now, if memory serves, this guy's weapons tend to be high raw but low sharpness. That may or may not be true. But it feels like that's how it is, just going purely from memory here. If I'm wrong, my apologies, but yeah. Deviant weapons are interesting. They charge your arts 25% faster, which, you know, that's really nice, especially if you've got a weapon with really good arts like longsword. And in some cases, it's actually worth taking a damage loss in order to get that. Like with longsword, I'd say it's arguable that it's worthwhile, considering that you get the thanks, Jackie. You get to charge up Sakura Slash faster, or either of the longsword's other two amazing arts. Oh wow, that placement was better than I expected. Now, okay, yeah, he definitely has the late one. I was watching that animation like a hawk. But yeah, getting to charge Sakura Slash faster, while it might not be the best for damage if you're playing at, like, top level, it is really good for giving you flexibility, which, you know, if you're not playing to perfection, that can actually be a huge difference in your quest times if you're able to remain flexible. I always forget how many times he can actually do that sweep. Regular Argyros only does it like 3 times maximum, and there was a case of me dodging that swipe way too early. That swipe hurts. It stuns a lot, but not every time. Might stun every time if he's over dirt, but I honestly don't even have to care or know anymore, because once I've got one attack that auto-stuns in the chart, then he's got the auto-stun marker, which is all we need, because whether he can auto-stun with 1 attack or 80 attacks, it's still just the 1 marker. So as soon as we've got that once, we've got all the info we need. Oh, you jerk. My swipes hit first, and also yours just didn't hit. Way to swipe over my head, stupid. Since this bear is actually bigger than the regular one, by a pretty considerable margin, but not the most considerable among deviants, he actually will swipe over your head with his attacks a pretty decent amount of the time. Yeah, I actually do have an idea in my head that might require me to know whether or not that swipe can auto-stun if he does it on land instead of in the water, but that's still a ways off, and I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to go about it, but at some point you might hear more about it. For now, not so much. Stay put, please. Thank you. Now, the problem with him being able to do that up to like 5 times, sometimes if you add up dodge through the first one, if you're trying to run back in, he will turn around and get you again. Which is, of course, less than ideal. Dodging the wind. Ow. He swipes that around farther than I expect. Okay. So we're probably going to end up having to combine more Mega Potions here, but at least we're okay for now. We used only half of them on the first bear, so if we can repeat that for bear number 2, well, then we won't have to make more. But it's anyone's guess as to whether or not that will end up being the case. Oh yeah, try and sit on me. Sometimes he just sits there for a good long while, and other times he gets up almost immediately. I really, of course, prefer the former. But I think it's based on whether or not he is enraged. And if that is the case, then there's not really much I can do to manipulate it. But at least I can know when to expect it if that is in fact the case. I'm pretty sure it is, but again, I just haven't fought this bear enough to really be super certain. But we'll see. We'll find out eventually. Now, I could gather those sparklies, but since it was actually created by him tossing a fish, it's just going to be a fish. It's usually a sushi fish. And I don't really need any more sushi fish. I've farmed plenty. Because taking on monsters that inflict bleed, sushi fish are helpful. Yeah, I want to get hit by one of those fish. Who is he going to do it? Yeah, but in the wrong direction. It's because of the way he twists himself up, it's actually pretty tough to tell exactly what direction he's going to fling the fish. Especially since I believe he actually can modify the angle a little bit during the animation. So, yeah, just being in the right place at the right time and not needing to dodge, because that is a fairly close range move. He usually won't use it if you are at the range that you would need to be at to get hit by a fish. Means that when fighting him solo, you're almost never going to be in a position to actually get hit by a fish. Which is unfortunate, because I want to get hit by a fish. And then there's also the times when he tries to do it when he's on land instead of on water, because he actually has to be on water for a fish to get flung. It's kind of interesting that he can fling a fish regardless of how deep the water is, as long as he's on it. But, I mean, that's just what comes with being a deviant. So, I ate that on purpose, got stunned. Of course, I hadn't been freshly stunned, so I can't really say whether or not it's an auto-stun still. I don't know why I actually went and ate it. I guess possibly to show off the fact that when he uses that attack on land, instead of tossing a fish out, he kicks up some dirt with it. And honestly, I think that might be why it results in a stun, because, you know, maybe the intent is, oh, it got in your eyes and it blinds you. And other effects that blind things, those cause stuns. So maybe it's meant to be, you know, more of the same here. That's my best guess. I think it probably does auto-stun because of that. It would just make sense. Why did you have to fish the cat? Ooh, yes, 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 yes. No! Why were you on land? Curse you, bear! Okay, he is tired, so that means he likes to hold still some more. Okay, I don't feel like I should have been hit by that. But whatever. Yeah, when he's tired, he definitely stays sitting on his butt for a long time. I think he also does it when he's just normal and not enraged. But, again, not enough experience. And wow, I got hit by, like, the little after swipes of those claws. Okay, bear. Okay, bear. Ow. Where are you going? Okay, not far. Stay put. Okay, this is probably going to miss. Okay, no, it didn't. Thank goodness he's got such wide hips. Something I never expected to say about a bear. Or a man. Though this might actually not necessarily be a male. I just usually default to he. When really I should be more gender neutral. I should say it. Yeah, that's right. I knocked it over when it was already on its butt, the most stable part of its body. Unfortunately, I just used some meter I didn't really have, but the attacks are still strong. I just would have preferred to actually come out of that with full meter instead of next to no meter. Usually I try not to use my meter unless I've got it full, or at least flashing. Because getting it flashing, as we've discussed many, many times during this run, is a huge damage boost. And I don't want to sacrifice that, even though it might mean I get more damage temporarily. Like, the only times I'll use my meter intentionally when it's not flashing is when I'm trying to get my gauge leveled up, like I was just a moment ago, or when I'm just using that attack because it is our strongest attack, shy of a Sakura Slash. And I think we even need to get both hits of Sakura Slash in order for it to be more powerful. Okay. So I was a bit too close for the fish to hit me, if they even have a hitbox. They might not. I honestly don't know. I hope they do, because, I mean, that would be hilarious. And I like when things can amuse me. Okay, that was definitely not the right time to try Spirit Slash. But this might be. Ooh, yes. How about now? Nope, missed. Wow, we have really been chugging down these Mega Potions. That is not good. Just goes to show how inexperienced I am with this particular variety of bear. Also, his attacks do a respectable amount of damage. Like, my armor is fully upgraded, and it's all rare 6 and 7. So it's not like I'm wearing, like, weenie gear. Okay, I think those fish probably don't have a hitbox, because if they did have one, I probably would have been hit by that last one. Jeez, why couldn't you be doing this when I actually really super wanted to try being hit by a fish? Yeah, it looks like he actually is locked into the angle for the fish throw as soon as he starts the animation. That's what it seemed like. So I guess I was wrong about him being able to adjust it. Which, you know, that's good for making sure that I can get hit by it, but that's bad when there are multiple targets and you don't know exactly which one he's going for, because the way he twists, it kind of looks like he could be going for basically any number of targets. Because, you know, he's not pointing exactly where he's going to toss the thing. So, yeah. It's probably going to be a while yet before I manage to actually take a direct hit from a fish and learn whether or not they have a hitbox, and if they do, what it does. It's definitely on my research list, but it'll be some time before I can test it. Or at least before I can actually get it to work. Because, I mean, I can test it whenever. It's just a matter of successful setup. Hello, Mr. Bear. I would appreciate if you wouldn't smack me out of the area anymore. Just gonna try and fill up my meter and then use this shock. Because using a trap when I don't have full meter is basically throwing away 12% of my potential damage. And I mean, I could have just had meter right there if I didn't go for the Spirit Slash. But filling my gauge is usually quite worthy. After all, red gauge is 10% damage more than yellow gauge. Well, 10 percentage points. It's a bit of a distinction because if it was 10% damage more, then it would actually be closer to like a 21% damage boost instead of a 20% over no gauge. Because no gauge is, of course, 0%. White gauge is 5%, and yellow gauge is 10, and red gauge is 20 on top of your base damage. So yeah, red gauge is nice, but getting full meter is 12%, which is more than the 10% boost you get from just going yellow to red. So there's our meter, and he's moving, so we're not getting our gauge right this moment. Should actually sharpen, because that's like another 10% going from blue to white. And now let's go ahead and get this down, because I can just use my Sakura Slash to get us to red right then and there. And then we're exactly where we want to be. Tried to aim specifically for the hands, but can be tough to hit them and only them, especially if you've got momentum on your attacks, like if they carry your character anywhere. Ooh, fish me, fish me, fish me. Okay, yeah, the fish do nothing. Either that or their hitbox is like the tightest hitbox in the game. Because usually for projectiles, the hitbox is actually pretty big relative to the thing, because otherwise it would be really tough for them to actually hit you with them. It's kind of why Plesioth's hitboxes are so bad, because with how tall its legs are, it would have zero hope of actually hitting you with its tailspin unless they broke its hitbox intentionally. Of course, it's actually better since the third generation, because he actually lowers his tail a bit during the sweep, but that only really helps when you're towards the end of the tail. When you're more towards the legs, it doesn't make things look any better, because you're still getting hit by the air passing over your head. But I understand why it's done. It can be a little annoying, but when that's the only way for the attack to hit you, well, then the only other option really is to try and redo the entire attack, make it look like it should be hitting you and make it actually hit you. And I'm just grabbing the stuff that I can actually take home. But yeah, hitboxes are a weird thing. Like, you make them too good and the game becomes too easy, but you fudge them too much and then you're getting hit by stuff that, you know, really shouldn't be hitting you and feels inconsistent with the rest of the game. Like, you know, Plesioths. And Garuga is also particularly bad. But then if you only fudge just a little, then a lot of players won't really notice, and, you know, it'll still feel like, okay, yeah, I can see why I got hit there. Like, when you get hit by a fireball that, you know, barely clips you, or just barely doesn't clip you, then it's a little bit more understandable than when you get hit by a tail that just cruises way over your head. So honestly, I think the best way to do things is to fudge it, but only a little bit. Just a little bit, because then, you know, the game doesn't become too easy, and you still get that feeling like, oh yeah, that hit me, sure. But anyway, that's enough talk about hitboxes, because this episode's over. Join us next time when we take on Snow Baron Lagombi. See you then, friends.